Welcome back to IAEE TV, sponsored by TMS and produced by CNTV. I'm Amy Sweezy, and joining me now, three very special guests. I have Dan Sherman on the end from TMS. So first of all, thank you for sponsoring.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Our
thanks
pleasure.
for sponsoring IAEE TV. I have Anna Nash in the middle here from Legends Global. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Amy.
And Dustin Arnheim from Choose Chicago.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we want to talk about transportation. We want to talk about event mobility framework.
Sure.
And each of you will have a different perspective. So before we get too far into the questions, just tell me what you do at your companies. Dustin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, Dustin Arnheim, Senior Vice President of Sales and Client Services at Choose Chicago. Choose Chicago is the destination marketing organization. So our number one goal is to drive tourism and specifically meetings and events to the destination. So we partner with event organizers and introduce them to our great stakeholders in the city.
And Anna, what about you? What do you do at Legends?
Anna Nash, Senior Vice President Market Development for Legends Global. We're the world's premier venue management company. We have 450 venues that we manage across the globe, 5 continents. So a lot of experience in this subject space.
Okay, and Dan, of course, you're from TMS. What do you do?
Absolutely. EVP of Business Development, and kind of leading the strategy for the event mobility framework, working collaboratively with our CVB partners and venue management partners, and obviously our event organizer customers throughout the country and world on kind of next generation ideas about bringing transportation and event mobility together.
And why is this conversation today so important?
Good question. I think as we all know, the attendee journey that we keep talking about, that attendee experience, the guest experience, the fan experience, depending on what kind of event that we're talking about, is so important to the ROI of an event. And really that first and last impression, whether it's getting to the airport or hopping in an Uber or getting on rail or transit, is transportation. And we've taken it upon ourselves at TMS, working collaboratively, mostly in 2026 onward. We're kind of announcing this today here at IAEE, that we've established this new framework and methodology for event organizers, CVBs, venue management companies, and our fellow associations partners, that there is a new framework to think about transportation as a strategic advantage, not a liability. And 9 out of 10 events, event organizers plan around 10 events a year, and usually 9 of those don't require any form of transportation. So it's up to Choose Chicago and the Chicago venues that they kind of hold their events at in order to complement and communicate with those transportation options. Our event organizers really aren't transportation experts, and at the venue management level, it's the same thing. They don't typically have information readily accessible to them so they can package and deliver to their fans or guests.
So Dustin, in Chicago, I've been there, I used to live there. I know you have a lot of transportation options with buses and trains and CTA and scooters probably.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see as the biggest challenges, specifically in your city, obviously, that you're dealing with for transportation in the event space?
Yeah, thanks for the question. As our tagline says, Chicago's never done, never outdone. We're always trying to be innovative and evolve, and I think as Dan alluded to earlier, the needs of the attendee are continuing to evolve, and I think that speaks to transportation. We've got great infrastructure, the dedicated bus line. We obviously have Ubers and taxis, rail service, bus lines that support really our convention offerings. But what we're seeing the attendee expectations turn to is like real-time decisions, right? And they don't want to have to plan necessarily for one type of transportation. They want to be able to make decisions in real time. And so how are we supporting that customer need as they come and experience Chicago as a destination and as a meeting destination. So we're leaning into that in 2026 and a lot more to come, but I think really the success looks like bringing the experts to the table, right? Engaging our partners like Dan at TMS to say, hey, what's the best solution to offer our customers, and bringing them on early in the process.
All right, and Anna, you have venues all over that you're working with. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge when it comes to transportation?
I think it's that communication, Amy. As Dustin was talking about, the DMO is working really hard to ensure that the attendee coming into the destination has a positive first experience. So that's going to be airport, that's going to be hotel, that's going to be your venue. So we really have to be really united in that communication process so we know how to get the customer seamlessly around to all the places they need to be in the destination, because we know they're going to spend all day in the venue, but they need to see the destination, they need to see more in the destination where they're holding their conferences. And in order for that to go smoothly, everyone has to be on the same page with the communication process.
And I know, Dan, one of the things that you have said before is not only is it your first impression, but it's also your last impression too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we all know that personally from going usually to a sporting event. Actually, we go to enough industry trade shows, we feel that at our industry events as well, right? So I think that the last impression is arguably the most important. But I also kind of wanted to go back a little bit, when we think about, from a CVB perspective and from a large convention center perspective, these large citywide events that are that have large logistic transportation requirements, they're rotating in and out of these cities. They're coming to Chicago, they're going to Orlando, Vegas, all these tier 1 cities. The transportation elements change every time, and that's just for the private shuttle, let alone their attendees kind of understanding how to navigate the next host destination, right? So I think, from an event organizer's perspective, us, as a subject matter experts, as we're liaising with these customers, guiding them through selecting a host destination, selecting a venue, selecting the right local transportation providers in order to deliver on their brand promise to their attendees. I just wanted to kind of mention, everything's changing every year. This is not a show that stays in McCormick every year. While you do have lots of shows that you retain on an annual basis, congratulations.
Thank you.
Rightly so at McCormick. It's just really complex from an event organizer's perspective, let alone when they have private transportation. So.
Yeah, and all the rules are different.
All the rules are different. That's I'm stealing that tagline.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
Well, and
I want credit.
To build upon Dan's point, as the destination marketing organization, we're supposed to be the subject matter expert on the city, right?
Correct.
And if we don't have the specific answers,
right,
who is it from the city we're pulling in? But as these customers are rotating throughout the country, we then need to be pulling in our transportation partners who are the experts on the customer and
right,
what their needs have been. And as you said, they continue to evolve. So real-time conversations and always just anticipating the need as they change.
And that's where the gap is, right? I mean, it's you guys work so hard at packaging and bringing all the stakeholders together in order to communicate the value proposition for a destination. It's hard to go scrap together all the transportation options for a 80,000 person event off the top of your head, because they all change. The blocks change every year, whether it's a show that's annual or rotates through. And that's kind of a unique perspective you get from partners like us, people like us in the marketplace, is coming to the leaders in the industry and destination and the venue and say, hey, I think we got to bridge this gap, because our organizers are thinking about the attendee experience, and this is one of the first and last impressions of that. So how can we work together to kind of solve something? And I have to say, I mentioned it to you earlier, Dustin, there doesn't feel like there's a lot of new things to solve for right now. I mean, yes, macro level, there's lots of things to solve for, but in our industry, it's pretty traditional, kind of cut and dry. So when there's a chance to innovate and think outside the box with innovative partners like you and others, it's a lot of fun.
And Dustin, do you feel like a mobility program can actually help reinforce your brand in the city?
Yeah, 100%, right? Again, we're looking to remove any friction from the attendee experience and being able to accommodate different needs from transportation, whether it's from the airport to their hotel, or if it's from the hotel to the convention center. Again, we're always trying to evolve and be on the front end of whether it be technology or services that we can provide. People look at Chicago as a tier 1 global destination. We've got the most amazing amenities, but you got to be more than just amenities and assets. It's about that experience.
Right.
So we're trying to make sure we deliver that as well.
And Anna, do you feel like, I feel like the expectations of attendees shift in a lot of ways every year, as Dan mentioned earlier. It's always changing, it's always different. What kind of changes do you see in how people want to move around, want to get from the hotel to the venue and around these locations?
They want it to be seamless, they want it to be easy, and they want to know and understand their options. So I think if we can communicate that well in advance, so they have a plan and they know all of their transportation options prior to getting to the destination, prior to getting to the venue, that knowledge is power. We just have to develop the plan and communicate that in a timely manner to the attendees.
And Dan, as we move forward with in the transportation world, how do you see this whole journey evolving as we move into the future?
Well, I think I haven't just put together a good acronym for the pillars of the mobility framework yet, but I'll mention a few of them. Obviously, accessibility. The ADA component for all of our guests that we think about on all the different event types is super important. Sustainability, technology. This event mobility framework is a documented framework and methodology that organizers are going to be able to use here in the next few weeks, but we also develop technology and event mobility dashboards. So we have 9,000 live inputs here within the United States in every major city. So if you go to McCormick Place, you're walking out and you want to see how far away my Uber is, can I take the rail, should I hop on a transit bus, or can I grab a scooter? That's all there at the palm of your hand. And a trip planner. If I'm coming from the Hyatt and I want to go to the center, or if I want to go to the Bears game, it'll give me all these transportation options in real time. It'll showcase my sustainability footprint, my carbon footprint if I'm driving. It can give you walking directions as well. So I think just empowering our attendees with these options, and again, organizers being able to take credit for putting this in front of them too. We want to empower our customers with new tools to communicate with their attendees to enhance this attendee journey. So it's really going to be a fun time for 2026 onward. It's hard to innovate in transportation unless you're Uber or SpaceX, I guess now, or whatever, the Tesla loop, yep. Right? So I don't think you'll see us investing in a loop from O'Hare to downtown. Although
I would be mad if you did.
We'll try to raise some money for that today. Okay. But just super excited about both documenting the methodology and already having a tool for the marketplace to use. We piloted it with lots of sports and entertainment customers and large conventions over the last 6 to 12 months. So it's just an exciting time, especially when you have partners represented here and throughout the industry that know something has to change and not quite sure where to turn to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the accessibility piece that you referenced is so very important. Other destination marketing organizations, but definitely Choose Chicago, are very much investing in accessibility and bringing that awareness to our partners, but then also to the visitor, making sure it's that seamless process. So even within the last 30 days, we just launched an inclusive tourism department and have key initiatives deployed to this. So I think the timing is right in our industry. You're going to see a lot of engagement from the DMOs and just great synergies there.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to understand when you mention technology, Dan, the demographic of our attendees, because that's changing. Gen Z and the millennials, they get around destinations in a different way than maybe the boomers did. Right. So understanding how they want to move around a destination, really important, so then we can understand and provide those tools to better get them where they want to be in the manner in which they want to get there.
Mm-hmm. And I would just add, especially in your purview, you have a macro level view of many tier 1 destinations, tier 2s, sporting and entertainment venues that are different than convention centers. We talked earlier about all the data that you get in real time for some of these venues and how you can apply that to industry research. Obviously you're using that for internal kind of decision-making processes, but I think from a venue management perspective, macro level, there's so much opportunity for you guys to continue to lead in that, and it's going to be an exciting time over the next 12, 18, 24 months to start getting this aligned. And I can't wait to kind of work with you on getting some KPIs out of there too, now that I'm thinking about it. So.
Agree.
Dustin, do you have any advice for planners, specifically when it comes to transportation and mobility?
Yeah, we should start having the conversation as early as possible. I think when we work with our event organizers, we're trying to typically understand what are their event needs in a convention center, what does their hotel room block look like, but the reality is we're creating an entire destination package, and transportation is a key part of that. I think Dan referenced it earlier, depending on what room blocks you utilize are going to impact your transportation needs. And so, and obviously there's a price to everything in life, and there's a price to transportation. So if you're looking at the financial package of a destination, you should be having that transportation conversation from the get-go, right? That should influence what hotels you're selecting and what options you're providing to the members.
And Anna, if there was one improvement in this industry that could be prioritized around the planning of mobility, what would it be?
It's a really good question, Amy. I think it goes back to communication for me, that I love what Justin said about planning well in advance and doing that communication well in advance. And yes, we're thinking about dates, rates, and space when we initially talk to customers, but it has to be what are your transportation goals? What are your sustainability goals? And how do those goals help us, how can we help them accomplish those goals? And it really starts as early as possible in the process to include more than just your traditional dates, rates, and space as you're beginning to plan the process.
Dustin, would you add anything to that, an improvement that you could make the industry?
No, I'd echo that comment. It's about communication, and I think we're in a world of like, let's go, speed up, and I think sometimes we do our best work when we just take a breath, we pause, and we slow down. That gives us the time to think through, communicate, and really articulate our needs. I think sometimes as vendor partners, we sometimes struggle to get that level of detail, and it just helps us produce a better product.
Dan, what are you most excited about as we move into the future?
I'd like to continue this conversation for another 30 minutes, actually. This is really exciting. It'd be fun to actually have an event organizer here next time.
Yes.
Or a couple different event organizers, small, medium, large, to help kind of bridge that gap about how they're thinking. But I've had the luxury of working in lots of kind of different segments of the industry, so my purview comes from production, deco, sustainability, consulting, hotel intermediary work, and contracting and transportation. So it's, I feel like all these different event organizers have different persona types that we have to plan for. It could be a medical show, could be a large, B2B manufacturing show. So all of our solutions, how you're pitching and driving solutions for your customers, all depend on what who your customer is and who their customer is. So I think everything we talk about here, transportation aside, is all about customization at the venue, at the destination level, and certainly at our level as well. So I think the future of these kind of conversations need to be backed by a framework, which is why we're bringing this to market and why we're offering it to all of our association partners and other service partners here in the industry. And I think hopefully this time next year, we'll check in and see where we're at. I think we'll have a lot of traction on what this kind of means, and some real results from event organizers that have proactively taken all this new methodologies to heart and started to integrate that into their planning process.
All right, Dustin, any final thoughts?
I think that sounds great. Let's go, Dan.
Go Cubs.
Go Cubs, go. Go Bears.
Oh my God, what a season. I'm a Commanders fan, so it's...
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we had you last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anna, how about you? Any final thoughts?
It's a great conversation. It's a great topic, and I look forward to talking about it next year, and I love the idea of having an event organizer join us.
Yes.
I think that'd be...
We'll have to get a bigger desk, as they
Yes,
say.
that's right.
Yeah.
Some more chairs for us, a few more microphones. All right, Dan Sherman from TMS, Dustin Arnheim from Choose Chicago, and Anna Nash, Legends Global. Thank you all for being here and having this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Amy Sweezy. You are watching IAEE TV. We are sponsored by TMS and produced by CNTV. Thanks for watching.